Welcome to the Light Journal by Jonne. Mindful words, powerful actions. This is your space for slowing down, tuning in, and finding practical ways to feel stronger, softer, and more at home in yourself. My name is Jonne. I'm a coach, yoga teacher, and forever student of what it means to live with more confidence, ease, and joy. Every episode, I'll bring you one thought to explore and one action you can take into your day. Simple, powerful, and always doable. So let's dive in. Let's talk about confidence. Not the shiny, loud kind you might see in movies, not the kind where someone walks into a room and everyone just magically stares in admiration. I want to talk about the real thing. The kind of confidence that doesn't always look glamorous, but feels solid in your bones. The kind you carry with you even when no one is watching. So here's the thought for today. Confidence isn't built on big wins. It's built on tiny promises that you keep to yourself. Sounds simple, right? But let's sit with that for a moment. Because if you're like most people, you probably connect confidence with those big moments. The job offer, the degree, the presentation that went well, the day you finally managed to say what you wanted to say. Or do what you wanted to do. We celebrate those moments, and we should, don't get me wrong. But here's the truth. If those moments were the foundation of your confidence, you'd feel shaky most of the time. Why? Because big wins don't happen every single day. Think about how many big wins do you have in 1 year? Maybe a handful? Maybe less? And how many tiny promises do you make to yourself in a week, in a day? See where I'm going with this? So let me give you an example. Imagine you tell yourself, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and stretch for 10 minutes before I check my phone. It's not huge. No one's going to give you a medal for that. But when you do it, when you keep that tiny promise, your brain records something important. Oh, she said she would and she did. Now imagine that you skip it. You hit snooze, you scroll instead. What does your brain record? She said she would and, well, she didn't. And here's the kicker. Your brain doesn't care if it's something tiny or huge. It just learns from the pattern. Every time that you keep a promise, you add a brick to your foundation of trust. Every time you break one, you take a brick out. That's why so many people struggle with confidence. They think they're missing a big win, when really they're missing 1,000 small-cap promises. Let me tell you something from my own life. When I was younger, I thought confidence came from the outside. From how I looked, from the opportunities that I got, and from being chosen. And sure, those things, they felt good, but they never really lasted. And one day I would feel amazing, the next day, poof, gone. Like the ground underneath me was always moving. It wasn't until I started keeping small promises to myself that something shifted. Things like showing up on my yoga mat even when I didn't feel like it. Drinking water before my coffee. Writing down 3 thoughts at night instead of just scrolling until I fell asleep. These are all tiny things, but the more I kept those promises, the more solid I felt. Confidence stopped being this thing I was chasing and started being something I was building, brick by brick. So you might wonder, okay, but why does this really matter that much? Why do tiny promises work better than big wins? Okay, so here's the sciencey part. Your brain is basically a record keeper. Every action you take is evidence, and your brain is always looking for evidence to answer one question. Can I trust myself? If the evidence says yes, your brain relaxes, you feel steady, you show up with more energy, you take risks because you trust you'll follow through. If the evidence says no, your brain hesitates, you feel shaky, you second guess, you overthink. This is why you can have a big win and still not feel confident, because underneath it all, your record-keeping brain is saying, yeah, but what about all those times you didn't follow through? Let's try something together right now. Wherever you are, take a moment and think about one tiny promise that you kept today. Maybe you brushed your teeth before bed. Maybe you drank a glass of water when you woke up. Maybe you showed up to work even though you felt tired. Don't underestimate it. Name it, say it in your head. I said I would and I did. Feel that for a second. That's confidence in its simplest form. That's the brick you just laid down. So if you've been telling yourself, I'll finally feel confident when I get that promotion, or I'll finally feel confident when I hit that goal weight, Or I'll finally feel confident when I'm in a relationship. Pause. Those things might happen, they might not. But your confidence doesn't need to wait for them. It can grow today in the small stuff, in the tiny promises. Because if you can't trust yourself in the little things, the big things won't stick. And if you can trust yourself in the little things, the big things feel lighter because you've already built the foundation. Here is your action for today. I want you to make one tiny promise to yourself, not 5, not 10, just one. It could be, tonight I'll write down one thing that I'm grateful for, or I'll walk outside for 2 minutes after lunch, or I'll put my phone down 30 minutes before bed. Whatever it is, keep it small enough that it feels easy. And then actually do it. And tomorrow, do it again. One tiny promise at a time. This is how the confidence is built. Not in the big wins, but in the quiet, everyday moments where you prove to yourself, I can trust me. So let that be your reminder today. Confidence isn't something you chase, it's something you build, one small promise at a time. And if you're listening right now, notice, you don't need to wait for a big win to feel solid. You already have everything you need to start today. Thanks for being here with me in this episode of Light Journal by Jonne. If this thought resonated with you, take the action, share it with a friend, and let's build this together. Until next time, one thought, one action, and one step closer to the confidence that already lives inside you.